Hello. Nice to see you.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to you. It's very early for you, isn't it? Like 7 or
It's 9:30. It's 9:30. This is not a bad time.
okay.
It's a little
Okay.
early for Gabriel, but he's 2 hours after me, 2 hours behind.
I went with this time because that's the one we selected last time. But maybe we can start pushing it a bit later, just 1 hour or something for him.
Yeah. Let me know what I need to do as far as getting the word out.
Yeah.
I dropped this in my Discord and had a link in the calendar, so I was able to slide.
Mm-hmm. Hey, welcome, Jonas. Feel free to open your camera, say hi. We're just letting people in for a bit. But yeah, I was a bit surprised. Apparently we're not getting many people joining. Need to work on promoting it somehow. I meant to do an X space to, to try to raise awareness, but I could get around to it because I was still tidying up some ideas here to work on. While we are here, I'm going to share as before. Shaggy, I'm not sure if you could join us on your laptop for Google Meet for a Miro or something. So I'm dropping it on there, and I'm also making a Google Sheet, which was meant to facilitate in case we have a lot of people that so that like we could multitask and everyone could sign up on that Google Sheet instead of us having to go around everyone. Welcome, Tara. Nice to see you. I could hear you for a bit, but you're mute again. Suppose that's okay. So we have Shaggy. And so I was just dropping on the chat a Google Meet and a Google, Google Sheet and a Miro board. I'm going to do that again and see if we can. I'm not sure if I can pin things. I'm going to give it a try in a second. So again, here's the Miro board and the Google Sheets. And there we go. I can pin the Google Doc and the Miro board. So hopefully anyone that joins could still see it. Yeah, I'm going to start sharing my screen as well. My initial points were allowing already some time for people to join in as we get started. So I'm just going to dive in and make the best use of the people that are here, because we shouldn't waste that. Welcome, Harsha. Just all good?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna open the room so that I don't have to keep approving each person that joins. Hopefully that will be okay. Harsha, you'll see on the chat there's a Miro board and a Google Sheet that you can start opening up from your side, if that's okay. And I can see from my Google Meets window that my screen share froze. So I'm gonna reshare it. Hopefully it will stick. I don't see it moving, do you? Do you see my screen? Is it moving? Let's show my screen. I just see the, yeah. That's tricky. Because, so much of what I do is based on sharing my screen. Maybe I'm going to have to ask someone to drive and share their screen. That would be different. Oh no, it's working now. Okay. Okay, cool. So thanks again for joining. Picking up from the first call that we had last December 12th, if I'm not mistaken, I've reorganized a bit the Miro board. So just to keep the center components, the design center components here more for reference for everyone. It's also something that we are going to continue to mature and tweak as we go. I've also added here a timeline, which is from my overall notes outside of the project. I have some Miro boards to manage things. And I hope this makes things a bit more visual in terms of, okay, milestone 1 was what we completed last December. Now we're headed towards completing milestone 2, which is about hosting open hours like this one, maturing our knowledge base, which I'm going to show you. It's just barely started, but it's live already. And the final list of projects to consult. So for this effect, we're also going to be talking a bit about maybe instead of just creating a form, we could sort of like run an ecosystem survey, and as people fill it in to share a bit their views and their wants and needs in terms of UI UX, we could identify that and also have a tick box there, say, are you interested in applying for an intervention, and what could that be? So these are the main topics that we're trying to progress. I'm going to zoom out. Let me know if at any point I'm going too fast. So I'm going to go to this side of the board where there's a number of grayed out things, which were the previous calls, as you know. This one could be grayed out as well. The call to action is only or mainly just subscribe to our Luma calendar and share things, share links.45b.io with anyone that you know. It should be your landing page to introduce anyone to everything that we are doing. Also, just to touch on this point here, there's a corner here of declaring your biases. And although we're talking about UI UX and design in Cardano in Web3, our biases are that we are more like from the Web3 side, not so much DeFi and real world utility and all that. I'm just highlighting this to invite you again to declare a bit here what you're about. And I've also made a point to put this one in pink because these are work sessions, not presentations. So come ready to share your screen or to jump on Miro, to open tabs. We're going to have some moments to do research or to fill in, for example, the Google Sheet. And jumping into today's session points, as you can see, there's a ton of stuff here because I'm really just fanning out in terms of a number of topics that we can touch on, that we can explore. And I'm very eager to see your feedback in terms of, okay, this doesn't matter so much, that matters more. Let's take this and make it into sort of like a thread of the project, of the design center as a whole. So to start with, if you don't have access to the Miro, let me know. If you can't edit things, I'm ready to approve. You should see a button on the top right to edit the Miro board if you don't, if you're not able to. And then this Google Sheet that I came up with now is similar to what we're doing in our Gov calls that we started this Monday. So I've moved over the Who's Who section of our Miro board to this far right-hand side. And you can see also the link to that sheet here. There's some notes here that are great. Solidi, Shaggy had already shared a bit, Andamio as well. By the way, Roberto said he would join us when he can in a bit from Andamio. And I'm not sure if we're going to have anyone else from the previous call, but it's great to see you guys here. So yeah, the goal of this sheet is so that we have, you know, a bit like Shaggy's filling in here already, a way for people to network between themselves without just depending on us. It's good that we have sort of like a listing of projects that are building on Cardano and designers and everything else. So you can highlight that here if you're more on the providing design services or benefiting from design services. And yeah, here there's a bit of your background. Shaggy, you don't need to repeat what you've said on the Miro board. I think we can go back and forth between both formats, and that's perfectly fine. But it's good that you put in a one-liner here to summarize it. And you can ignore these for now because we're going to get to them later. So yeah, so this is the invitation for anyone participating to list themselves in here. What I've done with the other project as well, with a very similar sheet, is that I keep it editable by anyone while we're in the session, but then after a while of ending the session, I actually lock it and leave it for comments only, so that no one can come asynchronously and fiddle with it a bit too much. Any thoughts so far? Maybe I should just crack on. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's it. I'm really gonna just try to cover things and come back to this backbone of today's call. So make sure that we use at least the 60 minutes to cover everything to some degree, and then we can iterate if necessary. So yeah, the Google Sheet, just in terms of getting to know participants, these 2 points here are either we have a look at this, or I invite you guys to open your microphone for a couple of minutes or a minute and just say hi and where you're coming from. So I'm not sure, starting with that part of the opening your mic and saying hi and where you're coming from, does anyone want to jump in?
I can jump in. Like coming from as in which place or which organization or
Yeah, organization and background
yeah.
mostly.
So
But place
organization
is good
wise,
as well.
yeah. And by the way, I'm in the U.S., Michigan, and organization wise, like I mostly work at Kimber Labs, and my background is kind of like a big mush. Like my I studied engineering, mechanical engineering, and then I did product design, and then UX research and UI design, and now I'm just like learning programming, which turns out to be really awesome. So that's where I'm at currently. Yeah.
I'm writing in your cell for the Google Sheet.
Oh, thank you.
Mechanical engineering, product research, design,
I mean,
and
if
now
to be
development.
fair, it's production engineering, which is a subset of mechanical engineering.
Cool, cool. Great stuff. It was really, really funny for me when I was collaborating with Harsha like for a year already. And with his accent and all that, I thought he was in India somewhere. And he says, I'm in Michigan. It's like, okay. So anyone else want to say hi? You're on mute. I think you are sort of muted, but you are still. Mm-hmm. No, I saw the icon muting and unmuting, but no sounds coming through. It happens. Welcome as well to Mark. It's fine if you're just listening in. It's good to have you here. Okay, I'm guessing Shaggy will be back in a second. So, not to delve, to spend too much time on the intros, I'm going to bring up the section that Shaggy had filled in on the last call as well. So, should be here. You should be able to find a lot about what they do. They've helped put together a SIP, which, as most of us know, here is a standard for Cardano. And they work very closely with Gabriel, pseudoscientist from ARP Radio. This is a bit something for me to review later, but yeah, interesting ways of development, accelerating development in tooling. We can just to illustrate this, drop this here.
Testing.
Hey, now I have you.
Okay.
Cool.
My audio box hooked up wrong. My bad. I was on the wrong.
That's fine.
on voice channel.
Happens. So I was just going over what you filled in on the Miro in the last session, and I was showcasing here ARP Radio, although it's not your core. It's just a collaboration that you have, right?
Yeah, it's our core use case, like showcasing SIP60's application. So, the label is a separate company, but anything Cardano related, we do depend on ARP Radio for our minting and to do all of our parsing and all that other fun stuff, like the advanced royalty mechanisms we're developing. It's all going to be through ARP.
Cool. Yeah, I think we gotten to open that website on the last session, and
we've got some upgrades.
Well.
Got some upgrades on the website.
On your side?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Cool.
And then on the Solidity website right now, we are working on payment processor integration and a portal so that we can start selling direct to consumers, like our licensed audio and licensed music, cutting out the middleman. So it'll be kind of cool when that's live. Between that and then like merch integrations, I think it's pretty cool for the label. Just figuring out a framework for our website right now that allows me to do all of that. That's where me and Gabriel are at. We're just kind of, because I need the framework to let me build each page with certain functionality. Like I want Spotify embeds in each page. I want the merch landing pages for each of these artists. And
I just realized my screen was frozen for a bit because I was browsing through the page and you guys weren't seeing it, were you?
No, sir.
Okay.
So these are our latest releases down here. Been staying busy. You're pretty good.
Great stuff. Okay. There's a lot to talk about, but I'm going to talk about something called Noster later today, which could make a lot of sense to you guys. I've been approaching bands locally as well. I'm not sure if I mentioned it to you. I think you were on the Gimbal Labs call yesterday, right? So I've also been recording Upright Bass in studio. It was loads of fun. Okay, and Shaggy, I was adding here, you said two things, integrating payment processing and another one. Maybe you want to formalize the second one here a bit more, just as a note. So we know who's who and who's doing what and all that. I'm not sure if Mark can speak, but I'm just gonna, since you see him in the room, he's a stateful operator. He's building a governance tooling, and he helps organize events in London from time to time. And overall, great guy. So I'm just gonna move on, if that's okay. So in terms of reintroducing the project, especially, for example, to Mark, which I think wasn't here on the launch call, this is a funded proposal for, I think, around 50K ADA. So it's not a it's not a fortune, as you know, especially with ADA as it is now. It has three main components to the proposal as summarized on the top here. And so these components are spaces and calls like the one we're in to discuss a network about design, UX, and the overall product, go to market even if necessary, because all those areas touch each other. And then creating a resources portal to share knowledge, which is something that we've started like this. It's just a Docusaurus installation, and I just created some scaffolding here for the articles. And the third pillar is interventions in batches of projects. So for this, we're going to use some talent that 45B has access to. I'm not a core designer, but I've done websites for 20 years, for example, not, again, designing the whole UI, but I think I'm sort of a visual communicator as well. And I'm a technical business analyst, so I work a lot with user experience and user stories. So that's why I feel like 45B, for even when we get to this build stage, what we want to do is be product managers for others. So this aligns a lot with what we want to do as product managers. And that's why this proposal is actually going to help us gather talent around us to deliver this side of the business that we're starting to set up. I think that's maybe the simplest way to show it. Here, if you want asynchronously, you can explore. Welcome, Roberto. Nice to see you.
Hi, everybody. Sorry for joining so late.
No worries, no worries. We're just recapping, getting to know each other. So yeah, like I said here, the three components of the project are these three, and you will see them here broken down a bit more. So the spaces and the calls, the portal, and interventions in projects. There's some quotes here from Catalyst milestone definition and back and forth with the reviewers, where we're saying it's not like we like to keep things very free format. So the main approval of an intervention is that the organization or project that was benefiting from it validates that, you know, they either thumbs up or veto us. So that's it for in terms of recap, and let's get into a bit more of juice. So I wanted to give you guys space again, a bit like we did on the first call, to raise questions of your own, like to share what you're looking for in terms, is it more like orientation about design and UI UX? Do you want to suggest topics for today? Do you want to suggest topics for calls later down the line? Knowledge base, topics that we should add to our knowledge base. I wanted to have a moment here to really, you know, since I've just gone over those three components, basically give you some space to debate openly in terms of what really comes to mind that it would be good that we get on this proposal, on this project, served to the Cardano community. Anyone?
Can I ask what specifically are you like? Are we supposed to raise questions about what what do we want to learn from this?
Exactly. So when I've just introduced the proposal and what we aim to do, and I say, okay, we're going to create a knowledge base. What kind of thing comes to mind that to you that you think really should be there? There's a building on Cardano, building on Web3. With your kind of apps, you have specific needs, you know, so it's apps that run on the background that play music or something like that. It's what we're going for is exactly so for example here we've discussed of including in the knowledge base things like, okay, let's explain to a designer, or let's explore as app builders in how many ways an app builder can make the user authenticate. So he can have a username and password login, he can connect his wallet, or in the case of book.io, for example, we've seen that although they do a bit of both, they also get to have generated wallets by the platform. So this is just one topic that we are going to try to debate in other calls and include in a knowledge base. Then we have here, you know, overall how to explain or how to represent L2s to end users. Maybe we can brainstorm a bit here. We have some apps that we can reverse engineer. There was one just recently that was launched, right? An L2 DEX on Cardano. Sorry, Shaggy, go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, based off of that explanation, I think one of the useful things would be something like a framework or like what's the process for implementing new UX UI, right? I think that something I was working on with Gimbal Labs lately has been developing educational materials, and there's like processes for designing educational materials and training. I'm sure that there's some sort of process for like how to implement a new change, right? And like best practices, whether it's like, hey, test the code on
So you mean like in tooling and all that?
Right. Just like what the process should be. Do you want to like spin it up on like a local server first? Do you test debugging? Like what's the process for implementing new UX UI? I think that any sort of basic framework for that would probably be very useful for projects like myself, where I don't have any experience in this to even know how to manage someone doing that job for me, right?
Yeah, that's something that it's very interesting that you mention it. That we hadn't touched on it that much, and yeah, thanks for raising it, because it also makes me think of another thing that's quite closely related, which is
value for money.
You what did you say? Value for money?
Yeah, I said value for money. Like, how does one, as a manager, if you don't know UX, UI design or anything like that, like front end design, if you don't know that as a manager,
Yeah.
how do you ensure that the delivery is good value for money, right? Something like that. You know, what to look out for, what are best practices, things like that. I think that'd be good.
Yeah. That's great insight, great input. I was actually not going to say this. I was going to say tooling basics, you know.
Yes, that'd be great.
So like a quick Figma workshop or something like that. And alternative tooling, let's say. So nowadays, for example, I'm starting to dabble with Claude Code, and I've already noticed that it has a plugin to connect with Figma and with I've even Fireflies, which, by the way, yeah, is taking notes of our call. So I think I've mentioned, you know, we're going to try to make this asynchronous somehow, where people can not just see the whole call, but then try to see some summarized notes or something like that. Okay, guys, this is going well. I'm not sure if anyone has any more suggestions. So again, we have a project that's funded to host spaces and calls, to create a knowledge base, and to do design interventions in a certain subset of apps. Anything else that you guys can want to suggest? Topics for the workshops? We've spoken about a few of them. One thing that stems from this bit would be like a directory, and I'm going to talk about that one further down the line today a bit. So, you know, I know we have Time. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. She's a very well-known designer in our ecosystem, and I'm looking to bring a couple more people to work with 45B. But it would be good to have like a directory of people that are doing this kind of providing this kind of services in the ecosystem. If there's nothing else, I'm going to move on. I also made a note here to mention that on this Google Sheet, like similar to the governance open calls that we started working on, next one is on Monday, by the way. I created a sheet here just in case you have proposals, whether they relate with the Design Center or they're just your proposals as a participant of these spaces here. You're very welcome to drop your proposals so that you raise awareness to the forum that we have here today. And yeah, we maybe can go over them very quickly, or maybe some of them are meaningful for us because they relate with UI UX. So don't hesitate to drop things in there. Then we have, I wanted to just touch on this part here a bit. So there's a nuance between UI UX, which articulates with development, but then there's a design side, which articulates with the message and the concepts. And we have, I would like to think, a very strong culture in blockchain and in Web3 about self-sovereignty, sound money, etc. And I wanted to just bring into the scope of this proposal a bit as well the fact that some of these artists are driven by that kind of culture that I was just talking about. And usually when you look for Bitcoin artists, or hopefully Cardano artists as well, you're going to find good designers. So it's a way to open the networking, let's say, so that we can start finding good people to work on the UI of our tools as well. I'm not sure if anyone else has any other projects that come to mind.
Well, I know a ton of Cardano artists. Like, I was pretty heavy in like the NFT phase. I ran Six City Music and Minting Service back then, so we worked with all sorts of art-based projects. You know, from like Squashua to Nas. Like, I don't know. Cardano's full of really good artists, unique artists, but I don't know.
Yeah. So maybe what we could do is see if I can not mess this up.
Are you looking to maybe keep this sort of stuff like in-house where possible? So like, for instance, if there's art and design considerations, we would want a directory of like Cardano designers, Cardano based artists, or is this more like, are we going for like better bang for our buck type deal?
Well, I think I'm very welcoming to have artists here, as long as we don't let it creep into anyone that has an NFT collection or something. Otherwise, we would quickly be doing a list of all the NFT collections on Cardano, right? But yeah, it's a matter of finding the sweet spot. I think, especially like if you tell me, okay, it's Clay Nation. Clay Nation is not an artist. Clay Nation is one project, right? But if you talk about one artist there that's doing other kinds of art, I think that could make more sense, right?
Hey, Lucas, I have a small question. So I'm a little bit confused because art is fundamentally like very different from UI UX stuff, because they aim at different things, right? So I'm just curious about how artists fit into this category in the first place.
Yeah. Well, it's for me, it's like a gradient, you know. But I take your point. Obviously, making art is not the same thing as making a UI, but they both have to do with communication a bit. And in a way, for example, here, what you see is more literally just art, but a lot of projects start having like interactive art, or like we're going to see helping artists monetize has to do a lot with using Web3 to bridge from the multimedia type of content that they're producing into a nice UX and UI in an app. Could be a game, for example. If you think of a video game, it has an art component very closely knit with the UI UX, the way you're playing with those characters and components, and the way that those components are actually NFTs or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, for websites, I personally slightly disagree, but with video games, I think art and UI UX are like strongly like combined together. Yeah, makes sense.
So here, for example, I'm not that familiar with this, but I've 3D prints, 3D prints that actually, 3D printing objects that can actually read, show you some digital elements that are being streamed or something like that. So I'm not sure. I'm just exploring a bit. And also, maybe I'm a bit biased because we've started exploring this kind of thing in 45B as well. We like to go to physical events, to in-person events, and yeah, so there's a lot of messages here that we started conceptualizing, and I consider this to bridge at least with the design side of things. Here, for example, it's a bit more like a cultural convergence between music and Cardano. There's others that allude a bit more to sound money, or that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm just gonna drop these in the doc, in the Miro board, and I think it was a nice exchange of ideas in terms of how much we should go into this side of the range or not. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna drop that one here. What else? We have, okay, so gathering and reviewing design resources. I even put in a point here to ask you guys to help me crowdsource it and Google and look for things a bit. But I found these two, which are really, really interesting. This one, we need to review it a bit better. We've done it very, very briefly on the launch call for this project, and the goal would be that we spend a few minutes here, again, asking the question of what are these guys doing here for Bitcoin that we could do for Cardano. Okay, and there's another one, very simple and very similar to, because it actually uses the same engine that we're going to use for ours. So this one is this is our design.45B landing page using Docusaurus, and I found this one, which is the same kind of a thing for Nostr, and I'm probably going to inspire a bit from this to improve our landing page, because currently it's not presentable and it's just out of the box undone thing. So I would invite you, let's spend like at least a couple of minutes, 5 minutes most, to open these two websites and then maybe look for a few more. Hey, Luca, right?
Yes, he has been banging on the door. Sorry.
Big guy. Cool. Yeah, so could we do that? I'm just going to go quiet for a few minutes and allow you a few minutes to explore these two pages. Maybe they can give us more ideas of what we should bring into our portal. So we have these two here, and while you do that, if you agree, I will add another article here, which I meant to debate with you right after this topic, I think. Is that okay?
What are
So my ask is that you browse, you can use Myro to jump into these two portals, bitcoin.design, Nostr Design, and browse the websites for a bit just to get the feel of how they explain things and inspiration for things that we could also do in Cardano. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I'm pulling it up right now.
So here, for example, this kind of stuff is something that seems good, but I'm actually gonna stop sharing my screen for a bit, not to distract you. Hey, Roberto, your mic is open.
Sorry.
Okay, I'm seeing this product design considerations. Would these be the sort of things that would be included in like a checklist or like step by step? These are the things you need to consider, you know.
Could be, yeah. Let's do this. I'll, as you mentioned it, I'm going to copy that link, which is the one that I had on my screen as well, and I'm going to add a sticky to our Miro board so we can just then reorganize things a bit. Even I can do that asynchronously later, but I'm making a note of what you suggested.
And then it would depend upon like what type of business you're running, right? What model you would use, because like growth loops probably aren't, they're probably not going to work the same in like a service provider space as they would in, for instance, like an exchange or some sort of DeFi application or something like that. But then like product-led marketing is probably where you would excel with something like an exchange or a, you know, less of a servicey thing, you know, more of a product.
Yeah.
I like these design principles because they got those UX tips. I mean, UX laws, and then the UI tips.
I'm gonna try to go to that in a second as well.
I mean, a lot of this is pretty basic stuff. You know, it's.
Welcome, Mauricio.
Hey, hello everyone. Glad to be here.
Nice to have you here. There's some links on the chat. Did you just join? Mauricio?
Yes, I'm installing now.
Okay, so
I think it's really important here, Lucas. They have that font list, like what the most common 15 fonts are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty important. We've been using this sort of stuff as far as like artist development and helping an artist develop a palette or like their individual what do you call it, like a media kit for each artist, and like a font goes a long way in kind of unifying their brand messaging. So
yeah, making a note. So maybe I might as well share my screen again.
and then those UX laws, these are awesome.
Developing a media kit and your identity.
Mm-hmm. To Harsh's point earlier, I can understand wondering where art would fit into this, but that's something, art plays a really big role in, you know, unifying the branding of any artist, platform, team, individual, whatever. Yeah, so whether it be like the color palettes used, the tones, you know, font.
Yeah, when I'm trying to get people involved with our events and what we do, it's always tricky because if they don't know anything about the culture for Bitcoin, Web3, and all that, to just have them but behind our booth, showing our T-shirts. We even take books to the booth and all that. So there's a lot of background that we want to share with people, and to even for Web3, you wouldn't have a designer or someone doing things that doesn't really know what a token is or what a wallet is, right? So that's why I think we want to bring designers and everyone very close to what we do, have them be in spaces. I was in the Epoch End yesterday, quite busy, right, Shaggy?
Yeah, got
it. Yeah. So, but although these are like, let's say, subcultures or something like that, it's important to have people that are native. And we see, for example, there's some people in Cardano, Arcella now with Adalink, trying to launch this marketing agency and others. And contrasting with that, there's people from, I don't know what ecosystem, pitching themselves to Growth and Market Committee at Intersect. And, you know, I really wanted to use this proposal to try to help lift up people that are native to Cardano as well.
I have one more major thing from this Noster.design thing that I think is very useful. Error handling. That whole error handling thing, you know, and then the logged out view. I've noticed that that's a big gap in the Cardano space, you know.
Where?
That's going to be in the how-to section under the Noster design on the sidebar, and then you'll see error handling, and then logged out view. Logged out view is basically like, what does somebody see when they're not wallet connected or they haven't logged into the platform? Because there's usually a big difference between how those work. But then on like a mainstream application, you know, you wouldn't see that. You'd be able to see Spotify's homepage whether you're logged in or not, right? So
this is really interesting. I had these to bring to the call, and I didn't really explore them that much, but this is a wealth of ideas here. We're really going to need to improve them, to review them, to input into ours, because, you know, we have sort of limited resources as well, and we don't want to make it very like huge in terms of content. So we need to pick our battles.
Right.
This one, for example, although they have like some case studies and design toolkits, it's more, sometimes it feels almost like they're just giving you an example of a wallet and that's
Yes.
it. And so it's not as interesting for our project as what this one is now bringing to the table. So,
and then below that for Harsha, you'll see the reference designs section on the Nostr Design website. That kind of dives into like the whole color palette thing, what media you want to host, like how that actually integrates into the end UX. That's been really useful for us. I can actually showcase how we do that if you don't mind real quick, Lucas.
sure.
Okay, so
My screen keeps freezing. If you see me frozen for too long, just let me know, please.
you good, brother. All right, so I'm screen sharing here. This is an example of like our artist notes tab. And I manage one of these living documents for every artist, producer, or anybody on the team. So this will have like their artist development roadmap with their experience and then their links and what's available right now. But in the marketing and promotion side, one of the things that we do is we set an emotional bias, a palette bias, and a font for each of these creators. And that kind of allows them to have a base of where to start when generating promotional material, branding, cover art, etc., because it gives them their vibe, right? So like the emotional bias is usually based off of their music and some conversations we have about them. And then the palette bias will use a mix of what colors they like and what fits those emotional biases, right? And then we kind of let the font be whatever they decide. So for Romeo here, he likes a lot of different fonts for a lot of different styles. So we kind of have the blend of those. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about that. How do you make all these different fonts fit in together? Like, say for example, someone jumps into Solidity XYZ, right? And they see like a bunch of different fonts, and how do you guys like have like something that unifies these fonts?
Yes, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. We do not use the any of these fonts on the main Solidity page. So like our main Solidity website, we have a chosen font already, and it's actually in that Nostr list of fonts. So if we come over here to, what was it? Product design considerations. What was it? UX tips, fonts. Was it fonts? It is fonts here. Okay, so Solidity Records, our website is entirely done in Inter because it's the most common font for business. Where you'll see their fonts is on their individual branding, their cover arts, stuff like that, or like promotional flyers and pamphlets that we print out for events. And those will be geared towards them specifically. But the label itself has a separate chosen set of fonts.
Got it. Okay.
So we went with this Inter one for my main website. And that's what unifies it, so they'll have their individual fonts for their stuff. But like our website is all going to be the same.
Makes sense.
Hope that was...
Yeah, that was really interesting. And I'm adding a sticky here where we had the directory of artists and everything. I added a sticky saying resources shared from within projects, e.g. Solidity Records. Because, it's going to be interesting to see if we could, it would be interesting if you allow us to document a bit and to illustrate how you guys are working so that, maybe you haven't thought of that, but other projects could actually approach you for guidance on UI, UX, and design and all that, right? So
yeah, I met with the Andamio team after our Gimbal Labs meeting the other day, bro. And my whole thing for meeting with them was we're putting together like our training manuals of like how we do our artist development training and artist management. And that's what I'm going to put up on Andamio, because I'm going to send even my own guys through the course to make sure that they're aware of how to do this. And then anybody else who wants to do it and export that to their own label, we'll cover everything from like how to manage artists, how to develop career plans, career maps, how to track works in progress, how to file registrations, like what the follow-up process is. But then also going into the Cardano side, like how to use these tools we've developed to digitize your music and bring it on chain. So yeah, we're going to use Endamio for that. That's something we have in the pipeline. I've already been talking with Newman and the guys.
Great stuff. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah.
And anytime y'all want to dive into that, bro, like if you want to use one of these sessions and maybe I can take 10, 15, you know, just go through like a quick walkthrough. It's pretty big picture stuff mostly, you know, just like framework and how to set up the framework for your business to operate with all of these different tools and facets.
Yep. I'm going to add a section here as well. I'm going to call it Spaces and Calls Sandbox. And so we can bridge this kind of sticky that I was adding here, like resources shared from within projects. I'm going to actually bring this into a space, and maybe that would be the best format. And then since you're saying you're going to put it into Andamio, you could present it like within our project. You would do the space, the live call presentation, and you could point to Andamio for some async resources. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Cool. I just realized that we are almost like done in our time, but what I'll do is I think it was a great discussion, and instead of just introducing things and orient, we really got into a bit of exploring and sharing. Thank you so much, Shaggy, and everyone for sharing some thoughts, because I want the sessions to become more productive and more exploratory. That's why I wasn't shy to just bring some links and browse through them with you. The main topic that I had for today, maybe we can just introduce it and discuss more on the next call. So you probably know, does everyone know what a PWA is? Progressive Web App. So it's those kinds of web applications that you can just, as soon as you open them, you start seeing a little pop-up to say install this into your phone or on your, even on your laptop, for example. I have this one here that I was showcasing yesterday on Gimbal Labs' space, that I just composed this with Cloud Code. And I was really surprised because it's just a like administrative tool for checking rooms and checking refurbishment of rooms across different floors of a hotel. It's a real situation. It's real data, actually. But the thing is, when I was exploring this, I actually started installing it on my phone and on my computer. As you can see there, it's on here as an app. And then I just realized, for example, the OpenJED project on Cardano also has this. You can come here, you can go to their website, and you'll probably see somewhere here the option to install it. And so, for example, in this case, if you do this, you'll quickly have a dilemma, because now you have an application that's installed on your phone that's very practical. But when you do open the application, a bit like I was showing it on my screen with the other one, you open it on your phone in a dedicated mode and the connect button doesn't work. So, and then the flip side of that is most of the applications need to run within the wallet browser. So what I wanted to just bounce off you and raise here for debate in terms of UI UX discussion is this kind of dynamics of how do I build my app and leverage what the browser can do, what a PWA can do, but also conversely think that within the mobile wallet, there's the mobile wallet's browser, right? So, and the only way I think, one second, wallets browser. The only way we can articulate between these things I can think of would be the deep links or these kinds of things where you register in the device. So you have a link that's Cardano : / something, and the typical PWA, for example, could be sending links that are to be handled by the wallet. And so you could have an application like the ones I was showing you, or you can try this one, for example. I'm going to add it here on the Miro board. So the concept that I'm trying to debate with you guys would be, okay, have something like this, install it as a PWA, but whenever you actually want to do a change to do something, you could link from the PWA to the wallet, and that would log you in, for example, and then you can continue to use this while you're logged in. So I don't know how, I don't know, we would have to think of it to see the balances, for example, would be tricky, I think. But then, you know, it would really give you a better UX than usually we have with having just a wallet and you have your favorites within the wallet. I think it's reductive, and it usually, one could argue it's one of the biggest impediments for people to use Web3 apps day to day with agility. Does this resonate with you guys? Had you ever thought of this?
Not really.
We always sort of assume that the app's going to run in the browser, and the browser going to be in the mobile wallet's browser, and that's fine. But people don't access the internet through the mobile wallet's browser. It's always this gimmick that's in there. So yeah, I thought of raising this to you guys, and maybe let's experiment with it a bit. We've meant to do a browser extension for 45B on Cardano that we didn't follow through with it. Now I'm probably going to try to do some experimentations of progressive web apps and connect them with wallets. Sorry, I was reading the chat. Course policies. I'm not sure what those are, but I'm going to Google it. Thanks, Tara.
Lucas, I want to tell you something about that. Because in our project, we are working in a native application in terms of mobile application. So to fix that, we are using a deep link to connect with the native wallet.
Okay. I meant to talk about that here as well. Let me just add this here, and we can look this up a bit further between sessions. So yes, Mauricio, what I had here was like the possibility of using these kinds of deep links. I think that's what I was alluding to when I said the PWA generates a link or something that when the user clicks a button, it gets handled by the wallet. Is that what you're talking about? Where it's a special type of link, a bit like Cardano : something?
Yeah, that's right. Because with Rodrigo, we realized that is the good way to do that, because instead of to use the wallet mobile extension, the best way is to use deep links. It's a way to communicate with the native wallet in a mobile.
Do you know, could you help us find some SIPs or something that specify this already? Or also starting with that, could you introduce us to the app that you're building, maybe by listing it here?
Yes, that could be a good idea, because we are seeing that is some kind of experimental way to do these things, but that would be great to put there.
Okay, so you have a link for this in the chat. It's pinned up, but I'm going to drop it here in the recent messages as well. If you could jump on and just drop us a link here to your, if a personal connection point, if you want, and also what organizations or projects you relate to and their links, that could be really good. And maybe you could also share a bit on the next call, showcase a bit what you guys are building. Okay.
Perfect.
Great stuff. So I'm not sure, Shaggy, this idea that we're talking about, probably not on the next call, right? Maybe let's try to gather some more traction and people attending. So
Yeah.
I'm going to add here a section here for future calls or next call, because I hadn't thought of creating a space for that. And so we can have a quick presentation by Mauricio. And okay, I'm just trying to wrap up a bit because I'm not sure if, does anyone need to hop off immediately? Are we good for like 10 minutes or? Okay, I'll assume that's okay. And so what else do I have here? Just to fly over it. Okay, so in terms of the Design Center's outreach approach, like I've been talking about this mix between having a sign-up form to benefit from the interventions in your app's design and also doing a public survey. So that's what I formalized here in this line. But the goal of both these two things would be to start having a database, a bit like I was alluding to just above when we started talking about here, directory of UI UX designers and artists. So the simplest way that I can think of to start spinning that up, well, the simplest one was this, but now we would be doing like a public survey that we can share in the ecosystem. It will also raise awareness to these calls and to the whole Design Center project. So I'm going to prepare to do this. And I'm not sure if you guys have any feedback on that idea, that approach. So we also have here some ideas about what we could ask.
Is this survey a part of the milestones, or is this optional?
No, this is me complicating what would be just a sign-up form.
Yeah,
So instead of
maybe
just
we
having a
don't.
sign-up form,
Maybe we just want to do. I don't know, man.
you
As a
think,
stake pool operator, I'm so burnt out on surveys, dude.
okay.
I mean,
Okay,
if
so
other people feel differently, you
that's
know.
good feedback. Yeah, it is, because that way we have sort of two things that are separated. You can point to each in separate and not make people do both. So that's good feedback. Yeah. I was seeing that there's a Marine, for example, they're running a governance thing now, and they're doing a lot of surveys and spaces. And I'm doing this one. I'm doing the governance calls. We're going to start Web3 workshops next week as well. So there's always tons of places to go on Cardano. But yeah, that was a bit of feedback. Thanks, Shaggy. So that's one point that I wanted to bounce off you guys. If there's no more questions or more feedback about it, I'll move on. On this point, just to close today's session, I'm just going to invite you, I think I had mentioned it here as well, to play with primal.net. This is just one of several front ends for the Nostr protocol. There's also a number of landing pages for Nostr, because it's just like torrents or something like that. It's just a protocol. And as you can see, for example, I have my own profile here. I have some people that I can look into their feeds in terms of, it's just one protocol in terms of Nostr stands for nodes and other stuff transmitted by relays or something. So it's just little tweets that get shared in a torrent-like type of relay network. You can run your own relay very simply, and you can use one of several. For example, if you go to nostr.org, I think they have a huge listing of client apps that consult this protocol of nodes, these node storer relays. And the most interesting thing about this is that you own your own, you can run your algorithms as you want. You can customize it a lot because several clients are very, very different. Some of them have a notion that I think could be very interesting, bridging with Cardano in terms of governance, which are the networks of trust or your social graph. and I'm very curious to explore that on our golf calls at 45B as well. And as you can see here, for example, this guy received 38,000 sats for his post. This is a very well-known author in Bitcoin about value. And yeah, that's the main thing. You can like and retweet something, but you can also zap it with some sats. This is what I meant to share with Shaggy, for example, about getting musicians and content creators to just articulate directly with their audience. You know, they get sats directly from the audience, and they get to, I don't know, own their profile. For example, there's this guy here, which who made an app where I can link to you if you're interested. But you can just give the app your Instagram or something like that, and it copies all the content to initialize your Nostr account. So you don't have to come here and start from scratch. You can, with some tooling, you can also double post or something like that. And yeah, I think this is, I'm not sure if you guys realize, but when we were going around this Nostr design, this is all done by the Nostr community. So Nostr is this protocol that's behind Primal. Okay, maybe I'm going around in circles a bit. Let me know where you are and if you have any questions. So this is very, very simple. If you're used to using crypto and Web3, you just go to the website. It creates your private key, which obviously it's like a wallet. And so you have your public key and your private key. This one you can share. It's actually the link for your profile. This one is a bit it's not a seed phrase. It's really just your secret key. You need to keep it, offline as much as possible. But in our case, for example, we trust it with, it's not even a browser extension. It's the browser cache for this website that has my private key. I'm just contextualizing you on this because I really invite you to create a profile, find me there, and experiment with it a bit. You can connect with me through pedrolucas.net, has my npub here. And yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I really feel like even for Cardano, if we eventually could plug in our wallet to this somehow, it could be a way for Cardano to come out of Twitter. And maybe instead of having a lot of voting off chain, which is on an L2, we could have it on this kind of Nostr relays. But yeah, it also aligns a lot with one of the main things I wanted to mention, which is value for value culture. A lot of people that are in here, because they are used to topping up this every month with $5 and zap people around, no one's forcing them to pay Twitter. They are topping it up and paying post by post a few sats to the people they love. So it really helps propagate this value for value culture. There's a number of articles online that you can read about it. So any feedback?
I just think it's really hard to like move communities. I think it's an amazing tool, and like it will help us out to filter the bots if if we use it in Cardano.
Yeah.
And I like it, but the big challenge, I mean, I don't know how you tackle is like how to get the community. Someone can move, but like
it would be like a sub community. So if I'm trying to spin this up, if I have a number of friends, maybe if it's useful, as we know, if it's useful, eventually gets propagated. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I will give it a try, and like fuck yeah, bro. Like if I can give some sats to someone instead of Elon Musk, yeah, like all good.
Yeah. So one thing interesting here as well is that I was able to go the same way you have if you're a website builder. You have some HT access in the root of your website, and then you have this folder called well known or something that sort of extends like metadata for your domain. And so I was able to very quickly include a bit of JSON in my domain so that the Nostr client knows that this npub is being vouched for by my domain. So when I say that I'm Lucas at 45B, I have a tick here because the domain actually validates that they are, authenticating my tick. It's not a blue tick, it's my self-done, self-made tick, but it's depending on my organization. So Gimbal Labs could do this, Solidity could do this, whatever. We've started as well equating in 45B. I have a friend that works with us who's a lot in the media sector, and we've started equating, creating our own relays for media that just do musicians from our network, and onboarding musicians to Web3 using just this. Anyway, give it a thought and give it a try, and let's keep in touch. So that was it. And just to wrap up today's call, there's a video here that I invite you to have a look at because I found it really interesting. Obviously, here they're talking about let's say, the end of Web 2, where Web 2 initially created the social networks and attracted a lot of end users. One of the anecdotes that they tell in this video is like Facebook was approaching MySpace or something like that, customers, to come to Facebook because the other guys were too centralized and monopolistic. And so Facebook was the grassroots solution. And so now Web 2 has gone from that to monopolizing the end users, monopolizing the advertisers that are pointing to those end users, and now enshittifying everything. It's the expression the guy came up with. So yeah, I invite you to have a look at this talk or zap through it. Maybe we can touch on that on the next call. Like I said, I know that this is about the end of Web 2, but if we're starting Web 3, maybe we don't want to repeat the errors, and we want to understand what is going to be different about our circumstance. I was just reading the chat here. Yeah. Tara, I'm going to get your chat contribution here and drop it on the Miro board, as I do with everything. And maybe let's go back to that thought later. But it's an important point to make. But in a way, that's what we're here to battle, right? Make sure that user experience is as simple as possible. Guys, I know I'm very much over time. I hope you liked this type of content. Let's maybe prioritize a bit asynchronously, drop some ideas here. And if you're okay with it, I'm not sure, I really need your input in terms of when could we do the next calls. There's two main options. Next Tuesday at the same time we did today, or maybe a week on today. So how can I get your feedback? Can you just open your mic for a sec?
You weren't asking for me, were you?
I was asking everyone's feedback on when should we do the next call, either next Tuesday or next Friday.
I don't care, man. Whatever's easiest for everyone else.
Is everyone good with next Tuesday?
In my case, I prefer to Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, and I think that covers a lot of us. Tara, do you have an opinion as well? Is Friday okay? Okay. So Friday, 1 week on today, I'm going to promote it as much as possible. Please share. Mainly, if we share the links.45b.io landing, it's not a landing page, right? But that's enough to get people to connect with our recurring calls calendar. And I'm going to improve this here a bit as well, although for now, it just has some orientation. So I'm going to try to make sure that if anyone clicks this button, they get pointed to this calendar, which you can also add to your Google Meet subscriptions there. And yeah, I'll see you on future calls that I'll schedule here. Sorry, I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen again, was I? Is everyone oriented? Okay, great stuff. See you in a week. Have a good weekend.
See you. See you. Thank you. Thank you so much for the initiative,
Yes.
Pedro. See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you, Lucas. Bye.